A couple of years ago, I was in a family gathering with a bunch of my cousins and nephews. If you know anything about me, I'm very protective over what sort of content my family members consume, what sort of ideologies they follow, especially the females. So this specific situation, when I say it bothered me, it made me concerned not just for my family, but the entire Muslim Ummah. I was just sitting next to my nephew. She's only like 10 or 11 years old, right? And she randomly starts bursting out. She gets very energetic. Hey, Boris, look at this guy. He's so hot. Oh my God, I have a crush on him. And I'm just like, okay, well, take the phone. I'm looking at this guy. And at first, I thought it was just some transgender, one of those like makeup artists, drag queens or something like that. And then I found out it's some K-pop artist. I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, what is attractive about this man? He's a literal fanboy who's trying to make money from music, which is like, pretty haram. As soon as I say that, she starts getting genuinely insulted. She's like, well, actually, K-pop stands for so many beautiful things. They're actually a very good group of people. Da, da, da. If you're a Muslim man in the modern world, this situation must be very familiar to you. You would have seen several men and women react this way to insulting K-pop. By the way, I'm not some old school sheikh who's talking about everything should go back to the way that it was. We should all go back to the golden age of Islam. That would be sweet, but I'm not so idealistic. I am all for change. I think there are so many traditions that we need to leave behind and move forward as a new generation of Muslims. But this whole thing with K-pop is something I just cannot subscribe to. Hopefully by the end of this video, I'm going to convince you to change your mind. But firstly, just before I go on, I want you to give me a comment below about what are your personal opinions of K-pop. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Tell me. I want you to really think about this idea that there are Muslim men and women out there who, if you say anything bad about K-pop, they will genuinely start getting mad at you. Saying things that are genuinely defensive and violent almost. At the same time, these are the exact people who, if some kuffar comes up to them and starts to, disprove Islam or whatever they do, they will just look at them and say, oh, okay, you are entitled to your opinion, but I'm a Muslim and I believe this. That's all they'll say. Whereas when you insult K-pop, they'll get angry. Why do you have your priorities in this order? It doesn't make any sense. This is such a weird social phenomenon. Even I had a very hard time putting my mind around it. But after doing a bit of research, I figured out why Muslims specifically are so obsessed with K-pop. As always, it all goes back to the way we were brought up. We were all brought up in hyper-protective environments. At least 99% of us. Our family didn't really let us do anything. We weren't allowed to go out, and as a result, this creative, little bit feminine part of us has been extremely repressed. And it is, as we speak, begging to be integrated. It wants us to integrate this, rebellious, this creative part of us. K-pop seems to stand for that in one way or another. And I'm not gonna diss any of this because that's a beautiful thing, honestly. Korea is a very traditional country. But these young men and women, they came out and they started breaking traditional norms. That's why they dress so weird. That's why they wear makeup almost. They do this weird hair. It's almost like the new generations call out against traditionalism. Obviously, having been raised in an environment where it's really protective, this becomes more than just music to a lot of Muslims. It becomes a representation of freedom that they've been desiring their whole life. The reason I think this is stupid is because it is the equivalent of a woman whose family didn't even let her go out as a child. And now that she's growing up, she's going to go and become a prostitute. You'll be surprised. This story happens very, very often. As brutal as it is, I'm 100% real on this channel. This is how most hoes and hijabis are made because they are overprotected by their family. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Boris, it's just a bit of music. Stop taking things so seriously. But that's not what I'm talking about here. If you like to listen to K-pop on your way to work, on your way to school, it's alright. I don't really care. Problem I have is when you literally start to worship, astaghfirullah, you start to worship these artists. Honestly, this is shirk in its clearest form, bro. How do you not realize this? Nevertheless, I understand why you are this way. I understand that you've been repressed your whole life and you need something to grab onto as a representation of freedom. but you can't go from one extreme to the other. What you need to do is you need to break out those small toxic parts of your upbringing, like those small traditions that don't make any sense, like how you have to go to university to get married, all this stupidity. You have to break those parts out, and then you have to find a way to integrate your creative and your feminine side in a halal manner. If you want to know how to go about this, I made a whole playlist on how you can actually start implementing those small parts of yourself that are begging to be integrated into your personality and actually use this to make yourself successful in life. Go check this out. The last message I want to leave you with: don't ever abandon your traditional masculine side. This is the most beautiful thing in your entire personality. And most Muslims are now starting to throw this away completely just because their childhood didn't work out. This is such a rare commodity in the modern world. But it is honestly the one thing that's going to make you succeed in every field that you dream of. So stay true to yourself, stay halal, and subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this.